This is a friendly reminder, make sure you take a bum break and stand up. Hey, this is Dr. Matt. Remember to share and subscribe. Hi, I'm Dr. Matt Bradbury, family corrective chiropractor here in Georgetown, Ontario at One Life Family Chiropractic. And I'm actually going to share with you today some ideas on how you can actually help yourself if your muscles are spasming and very tight in your low back, what you can do on your own right now. So there's a couple things I'm going to go over in terms of the anatomy and how you can help look after your body that much better. So remember that if your muscles are tight and spasming, your body's trying to protect you, and it's probably gently trying to tell you to redirect the course or do something a bit different. Now, maybe you've become injured and your tissues are in full-on protection mode, and that's the reason for the muscle back spasm. Some of the things that I see in clinical practice are poor posture. We spend a lot of our day like this, right? And poor posture, muscle weakness, lack of activity, lack of conditioning, where these muscles get overworked very easily, and then all of a sudden, if they're spasming and trying to protect you, I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can stop that cycle and what you can do to help get out of that cycle as well. So you'll see here, you have your spine, your nervous system, and as your family corrective chiropractor, I want to know how all this information in your brain travels all the way down to your muscles, your organs, through your nervous system. Now, one of the important things to remember is if you're shifted and stuck, that's going to be a factor. Whether you're shifted and stuck down here or up here, that's one thing as a family corrective chiropractor that I'm going to be looking for. And sometimes the areas you're going to feel, and sometimes the areas you're going to have no idea about. And that's why it's so important to get tested to know what's going on with the proper structure and function of that spine and that nervous system. So consider the health of that. That's going to play a key role in how you function and how you heal. And also consider some of the things that I'm about to share with you today to help yourself. So one of the really important things to have at your desk side, or at your table rather, is a lacrosse ball just like this. Now I keep one of these at the office, and I keep one of these beside the couch as well. And what you're going to actually do is you're going to lay on your back for this, and if you notice yourself with spasms through here, what you're going to do is lay back just like this. I'm going to take this ball and I'm actually going to place it on those muscles beside my spine. Now, on those muscles beside my spine. Now, it's very important that you keep that ball on the muscles and not necessarily on the bony parts, because otherwise you're going to feel it. It's going to be uncomfortable. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang out, breathe. And now if you want a little bit less of an intense version, you can start with a tennis ball, but I prefer a soft tissue or lacrosse ball. And what I'll do is I'll hang out just like this. And now you can hang out neutral, breathe into it for 30 seconds to 60 seconds. What you can also do is tilt your pelvis. And you'll notice I'm bringing my tailbone up. So I'm contracting my abs just a bit. And again, I'm hanging out. And you can have a cycle where you go back 5 to 7 times. I'll let my buttocks relax. I'll bring my tailbone up. And again, this whole time, what I'm doing is I actually have that lacrosse ball right there on those soft tissues in my low back. Now, another neat variation of this is what I'll actually do is I'll bring my leg up just like this. So you're going to notice your low back maybe is going to flatten out even more. And I'm going to bring my knee to my chest just like this. And now I'm going to breathe. And what you're doing is you're breathing 30 to 60 seconds. When it gets a little bit easier, you can change the variation. So I'll actually, if it's my right side that's bothering me, I'll take my right knee up and I'll bring it across my body. You can bring it across slightly to the left side. So change the way that lacrosse ball sits on those tissues and just focus on breathing into it. Now it's also important, all those posterior tissues are going to be stiff and tightening up on you. So what I'm going to suggest is actually take the lacrosse ball and bring it down just on top of your glutes. And you'll notice the meat of your glutes. And what you can do is you can straighten your leg if you want. You can bring your leg up, but you may find you have some really tender areas in the back of your glutes as well, where you want to breathe. And when it gets a little bit easier, you can say 30 to 60 seconds, move on to another area, and even address the opposite side. Now, while you're down here for the second variation, or what we call the dead bug, you may have seen me do it before, but what I'm actually getting at is activating the front muscles. So if your low back is spasming and tightening up on you, what I want you to try is actually activating some of the front muscles so that you can cue so that the low back isn't so much involved or saying, hey, I got to keep a grip on things. By telling your brain to contract the front or the abdominal muscles, you can actually encourage your low back muscles to relax a bit. So what I'll do is if you're still laying on your back, you can do just like so. Bring your knees up. And with this one, you can do 5 seconds of contracting this way. Relax for 5 seconds, and then come back up. Contract for 5 seconds. And what you're going to do is 5 cycles of that to help relax the low back muscles. Now for this next one, I'm actually going to do what's called the child's pose. And with this position, you really want to just focus on sitting your buttocks back, breathing. Now I'm going to start straight, and then what I'm going to do is start with a slight variation where I bring my upper body off on an angle slightly. So watch here. So I'll sit back just like this. And again, you're going to round out your low back a little bit in this position, but you really just want to focus on breathing with this one and thinking about breathing into your glutes, into your low back muscles. Opening up all these tissues while you're here. And here you can hang out for 1 to 2 minutes. And when you want to do that slight variation, what I actually do is I'll just bring my hands off to the side like this. And I'll hang out here on this side 1 to 2 minutes. And I'll do the same with the opposite side. Opening up both sides so you're not just linear, but you're also doing variations of side to side and some of the habits that you may recreate in real life. Now it's important to have a variation as well for the desk when you're seated, because you may be getting stuck seated at work. And remember, if you're seated watching this, just as a friendly reminder, make sure you take a bum break and stand up. At least standing every 20 to 30 minutes. Ideally by now, you've gotten invested in yourself in a standing desk to make things that much easier. But in case you're sitting, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually bring myself up like this. And when I'm here, I'm just thinking of my glutes, which are going to be involved, all those posterior muscles that may be spasming. And what I'm actually going to do is, if this is my left side, I'm actually going to reach just slightly to my right and really open up what's called those QL muscles, those muscles up and down the sides between your pelvis and your ribs. If you imagine on your back running like this, and you're just opening them up, a lot of times they can be involved in muscle spasms and back discomfort. So I'm going to lean off to the side. You can even reach up overhead, full length, and you're going to hold 30 to 60 seconds. Now if you're having trouble bringing your leg up, just start with this leg straight. Just bring your leg up as far as you can and start there. You can even do this. And just because maybe it's your left side bothering you, I would still suggest opening up, working on the right side or the opposite side as well to help you move at your best. So as we finish up today our discussion on relieving low back spasms, what I want you to also consider is sometimes it's good to get some blood in the area, natural healing process, groceries in, garbage out. So they'll actually encourage people, and this is at the point where if you've stretched and loosened things up, this is one of those things that you may find really useful just to help get some blood going to the muscles and help lubricate those joints. And what you'll do is you'll start just like this, just with the lower body only. And this is after you've gone through your stretching routine with your lacrosse ball. Try just doing some bird dogs. I'll do all one side, and then I'll do the opposite side. Really resisting the urge to let your hips shift side to side, okay? So consider all those things, you bring it together, and like anything, it's going to be the consistency that helps build you back up to get you back on track. So we bring it full circle. We talked about how to use the lacrosse ball while lying on your back, working on those loaves of bread up and down the sides of your spine to help relieve some of that tension, and then working on the top of your glutes as well. We talked about using the dead bug to cue our stomach muscles to help turn off our low back muscles from spasming so hard. And we talked about the child's pose, which essentially the child's pose helping you open up, focus on your breathing with some variations side to side. And we talked about the seated figure 4, which I find stretching your hips can be a big benefit to helping relieve muscle spasms as well, because your hips have to be mobile in order for you to move, squat down, and do those fun activities that keep up with your kids, your grandkids, and those of daily life. And finally, we brought it all back to the bird dog, which I think when we come back time and time again to the bird dog, it's one of those simple exercises that you can do for yourself. But do that at the very end. Focus on doing the stretching, the soft tissue work with the trigger points, and focus on breathing and just getting back up and moving. And of course, if you're doing all this, make sure you're taking your breaks for your walking, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Make a point of moving, changing the environment so you can be that much better and help yourself heal that much faster. Anyways, hope you enjoyed today. Thanks so much for tuning in. And of course, I appreciate you. I've shared with you before, I cannot simply do it alone. In terms of my mission is big, in terms of helping people understand that they have more function to help their bodies work better, and their spine and nervous system is importantly, very important in their overall health and well-being. So if you take a moment, please click share. I simply can't do it alone. Either grab the URL, share it to your feed, or grab that URL and send it off in an email to someone who you know would benefit. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you. And I'll leave you with, remember, you're far stronger, more resilient, and resourceful than you have necessarily been led to believe, which is the good part. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.